there! This is one of those weeks where, even though I have like 1,000 things in my head that I want to talk about, I'm just not ready for any of it yet. So, instead of making a video where I talk about something that I'm just not prepared for, that would be totally inadequate and not fair to the subject or to you, I'm going to go back and do something that's been on my to-do list for quite some time now, and that is my 4th Jane Eyre radio review. This time it's a Lux Radio Theater program that aired on June 5th, 1944, produced and hosted by Cecil B. DeMille and starring Orson Welles and Loretta Young. I found it on YouTube. I was not actually around for the original airing. This show came in the wake of the successful Hollywood film in which Welles played Rochester opposite Joan Fontaine, which probably explains why Welles gets top billing. But I'll get to him in a minute. About the program itself, this one's only an hour long, and even though that's twice the length of the Donna Reed Vincent Price radio version that I reviewed a couple years ago now, it's still very short, with a lot of parts from the story cut out. Overall, it follows the 1943 movie more closely than the original novel itself. It basically starts at Lowood School, with young Jane having a conference with a very devilish Brocklehurst. The whole thing with Jane's aunt is cut, with her getting sick and everything. That's gone. In fact, I think that Jane's aunt is only mentioned once in the very beginning. Of course, if she's out, then they would have no problem getting rid of all the Rivers, so they're gone. What's worse is that they kept the change where distraught Jane returns to Lowood and begs Brocklehurst for a teaching position. Ugh, no. So since I'm a person who likes my Jane Eyre adaptations on the faithful, fleshed out side, this was... well, I'm not going to say it was disappointing, because I didn't have very high expectations anyway. The redeeming factor is, no surprise here, Orson Welles. I am already of the opinion that Orson Welles was pretty awesome, so maybe I'm biased, but this is the guy who made a big splash with the notorious 1938 War of the Worlds broadcast, so it's no wonder he does a good job in this. The man knew how to do radio. Going into this, I was curious about the differences between Welles's 2 Rochester performances, and I found that while his film Rochester had a tendency to be more brusque, his radio delivery is more laid back, with some of his line readings surprisingly subtle and low-key. For a very quick example, take his reply to Mason's plea that he thought he could do some good. Here's the movie performance.
Mason! I told you not to come up here!
I thought I could have done some good.
You thought!
And
here's the radio performance.
I told you not to come here, Mason.
I thought I could have done some good.
You thought. I still please. I've tried so long to avoid exposure. So make very certain it doesn't come now.
But Welles also has Rochester's tongue-in-cheek charm, that likable, teasing side that adds levity to the drama. I don't think of his Rochester in the film as having so much of that side, not so much as some other Rochesters that would come later. Maybe I'm just remembering it wrong. Actually, his Rochester is so engaging to listen to and so prominent that Jane, remember her, the main character, Jane Eyre, tends to disappear. The glamorous Loretta Young, a famous actress in her own right and a movie star years before Welles came along, is good as Jane. Her version of the character does sound more mature and self-possessed, which is a huge contrast to Joan Fontaine's interpretation in the film. Unfortunately, there's just not much for Young to do. Aside from one brief, impassioned speech, you know the one I mean, and an emotional ending, most of her lines are her narrating the story and asking questions. They gave Welles all the juicy, interesting parts. There was a cute bonus scene after the end of the performance where Cecil B. DeMille introduces Loretta Young and Orson Welles, and they're all standing there together, and Loretta Young makes a joke about the stage being crowded with producers, and then DeMille and Welles start ragging on each other in really friendly competition, and it's fun. Loretta Young and Orson Welles would go on to star opposite each other 2 years later in The Stranger, a good post-war thriller that also has one of my favorite Edward G. Robinson performances. So that's the 1944 Orson Welles Loretta Young Jane Eyre radio program. As an adaptation, it leaves a lot to be desired. but I did like it well enough because A, it's still Jane Eyre, and B, I think Orson Welles is bound to be entertaining no matter what he's doing. I hope you enjoyed this review. It's been several months since I did a Jane Eyre video, so hopefully I haven't gotten rusty. Thanks for watching. Bye!